kidding me? What's with the low life out there? Oh, well, that answers that question. So that's the pedophile pig right there. DaCosta, the fucking reject. Disgusting piece of trash. Sex offender filth. You just heard Jason DaCosta, the pedophile sex offender filth, disrupting the entire neighborhood. I would know that piece of trash was located directly against that wall right there for 3.5 years. And the Greenville Group, specifically Oleg Eliseyev, the property manager, refused to remove Mr. DaCosta from Unit 88 in spite of multiple complaints about his violent, aggressive, psychotic masturbation and other habitual acts of aggression and surveillance-based harassment from against that wall right there for 3.5 years. Now DaCosta apparently has his window right there and is shouting at the top of his lungs, as he used to do very frequently, against that wall right there. I'm very familiar with what he sounds like when he's engaging in some psychotic and disruptive, dysregulated behavior, because he's a sick and twisted sex offender piece of trash. They should go jump into traffic. Can't leave women alone. Spends his life masturbating. I mean, I would know. I had to deal with his masturbation on a regular basis against that wall right there for years. And in spite of multiple complaints about him threatening to kill me, telling me that he watches me when I sleep, that he was going to murder me, the Greenville Group have refused to do anything about Mr. DaCosta's homicidal threats and surveillance-based aggression. Now he's shouting out of that window right there. So I have long suspected that Mr. DaCosta's windows were actually one of those two windows right there, because of the loud, constant, very familiar horror movie soundtrack that emanates from those two windows on a regular basis late at night. Mr. DaCosta has a sick and twisted obsession with horror movies where women are getting violently murdered with knives and other sharp objects. I would know, because that's the only kind of movie that he ever watched besides porn when residing in the unit directly behind that wall right there for 3.5 years. Now Mr. DaCosta's sick and twisted lifestyle is affecting the entire neighborhood, as you just heard. That's too bad for him. He's just a psycho reject that needs to go jump into traffic because he's a sex offender who has a thing for little girls and was making nasty comments about the little girls in my family whose existences, names, and identities he should know nothing of. But for some strange reason, he does. And I'm not the one who docks the identity of my family members to the sex offender trash in that building right there. That is something that the Greenville Group has a responsibility for, based on the fact that they're using a psycho hacker named Jasmine Irizarry to dox not just my activities, my name, my location, my activities, my hygiene practices to the entire building that is mostly BLM, but also the names of my family members and their locations, and that has nothing to do with me. I do not mention my family members' names on these videos. I do not mention them on social media. And yet, Mr. DaCosta seems to have not just knowledge of the names of my young nieces who are minors, but also what they look like and the size of their certain parts of their anatomy. Let's put it that way. He's a sick and twisted piece of sex offender trash that should go jump off a bridge. I hate sex offenders, especially low-life scum like DaCosta, who you just heard shouting right now. Irizarry, the severely mentally disturbed, obsessive stalker who's been harassing me, my friends, and my family for 11 years, courtesy of Mr. Eliseyev of the Greenville Group. Sick and twisted rejects like Charles Thomas, who was just shouting out on the street maybe 20 minutes ago after I tried to use the bathroom in my unit 30 minutes ago. It is shortly before 8 p.m. now on Sunday, November 2nd, 2025. And not just Mr. Charles Thomas was shouting out on the street. He does this weird, creepy, dog-like wolf howling. He's been doing this for years. I'm unfortunately, very familiar with Charles Thomas's howling at women when he happens to be in their vicinity. He's been howling at me like a fucking dog since 2016. That's 9 years of Mr. Charles Thomas howling at me whenever he has some kind of knowledge of what I do in the privacy of this living space, pretty frequently after I've used the bathroom in this living space. I found surveillance devices in my bathroom back in 2017. And it's not a stretch to conclude that the crooked criminal Russian slumlord is live streaming my personal bathroom activities to the large population of sex offender psycho trash that they are cramming in unusually large percentages in the building across the street, and also apparently in the 5 Union Ave building where I'm residing, and where I have been told that there are no sex offenders living in the 5 Union Ave building. Yes, there are. Irizarry has been violently slamming and banging things from directly below in 76 throughout the entire day today, based on surveillance footage of what she happens to have knowledge of me trying to do in the privacy of this living space. And I just tried to use my bathroom 25 minutes ago, and Irizarry was doxing her presence in or around the premises of the unit directly below this one in the bathroom by blowing and propagating sudden, overpowering amounts of cigar smoke into my bathroom while I was quietly trying to use the facilities. And I do not smoke cigars. It's an unmistakable cigar smoke propagation into my bathroom whenever I try to use that toilet. And then Mr. DaCosta is shouting and screaming, and Mr. Charles Thomas was howling like a fucking dog out on the sidewalk just after I exited my bathroom. There's something very strange going on, except it's not strange when you figure out that the Greenville Group are criminal Russian slumlords who have problems with women and really don't want functional, successful, educated women living in their building. Because then we dox the fact that they are doing a lot of unlawful things, such as using surveillance devices in the living spaces of their tenants, and of keeping very deliberately large units with their own private bathrooms vacant and empty for years, while probably getting some kind of monetary compensation for those empty units, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, the list goes on and on.